Sergeant Slaughter's back and ready for some military action with today's game, Artillery Duel, seen here as part of a double ender. And looking at the label art, it basically looks like it's, off the box of some knockoff G.I. Joe toy in the mid-'80s. Let's go ahead and take Artillery Duel, pop it in my Atari 7800 Pro system, and see how it holds up today. Let's go to the game. Artillery Duel was published by Xonox and carries a copyright year of 1983. It was released in 4 different variations for the 2600, including as a single cartridge and as part of 3 double enders, being paired with the games Ghost Manor, Spike's Peak, and Chuck Norris Super Kicks. According to the manual, you are in charge of an artillery gun emplacement set in a rugged mountain terrain. Your enemy's gun emplacement is set across the hills in another strategic location, and it's your task to knock out the enemy before he is able to destroy you. You must take into account distance, gun placement relative to terrain, wind direction, and wind speed as you mount your assault. You can control the amount of powder and the barrel angle for each shot fired as you zero in on your opponent. Before you can fire again, your enemy will get off a round, so make each shot count. Artillery Duel was designed for 2 players only, and usually I don't review 2-player only games, but since both players take turns, it is possible to play as a single player with 2 joysticks. Starting the game is a minor pain, as you first must let the attract mode set up and start playing before you can even press the select button to start the game. The difficulty switches can also be set before the game begins. In the B position, the player will have 30 seconds to fire, or the computer will fire for them. In the A position, the player will only have 15 seconds. So it is possible for one player to play with a single joystick, and the computer firing for the opponent when their time runs out. But the computer will never adjust their shot, meaning it will be very unlikely that they will ever hit the player. The game begins with a randomly drawn map, with cannons placed on both sides. The computer randomly allows one of the players to go first. On the top of the screen is a B for barrel angle, P for powder level, W for wind speed, and a flag for the wind direction. When it's your turn, you can highlight either the barrel angle or the powder level by pressing left or right, and use up and down on the joystick to adjust the levels of whatever you just selected. When you're ready to fire, you simply press the button, and then you wait, and wait, and wait. Wait some more, still waiting, to find out the result. If you miss, it's the next player's turn. If you hit, you get a point, and a couple soldiers come out and do a victory march, and the game draws a new map. There's no real end to the game. It will just keep on playing and playing, so it's up to the players to decide when they've had enough. Graphically speaking, the backgrounds are okay, but your cannons are lacking since they don't even move when you adjust your barrel angle. Also, the terrain is unaffected by your shots, but at least the marching soldiers are a bit entertaining, especially when one of them gets out of step and has to run back into line. Sound and music wise, there really isn't much going on, but once again the soldiers get the highest points for a nice marching tune. Family friendly wise, I would guess that this game would be rated E for everyone if released today. At the time of my research on eBay for loose copies, as part of a double ender with other games, and it didn't seem to matter which game it was paired with, they were selling for about $9 to $15. One single cartridge sold for $20, and those prices include shipping. So what do I think of Artillery Duel? Ugh. Now, I don't usually mind this type of aiming game, but this one is terrible for one big reason. It simply takes way too long for your shot to hit. It's bad enough you have to wait for the attract mode to even start the game, and that your cannon doesn't bother to show a change in the angle. But when you can fire your cannon, get up, make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, cut the crust off, grab a Faygo Rock and Rye and some better made potato chips, and still have time to see if you hit or not, that's simply too long. It's amazing that a game with similar mechanics that came out 4 years earlier in Human Cannonball for the 2600 far outshines this one. You'd almost think that Xonox was trying to rush out games as soon as possible and take advantage of their double ender cartridges. And it's a shame too, as simply taking the time to polish up the game a little bit and make the shots quicker could have made this a passable game. Well, at least the soldiers are cool. So where am I going to rank Artillery Duel? Like I said earlier, I normally don't review and rank 2-player only games, since my rankings are based on my own personal enjoyment of the game as a solo player experience. But since you can kind of play it as a single player game, and since I consider it my civic duty to warn my fellow retro gamers of this game, I'm going to go ahead and rank it. Consider it my public service announcement for the week. And since I'd much rather play my lowest ranked game Glib, since it moves faster, out of the 120 games I've now ranked on the 2600, Artillery Duel is landing all the way in the bottom spot. Artillery Duel, it aims, it fires, and still waiting, and misses. If you want to play a two-player game on the 2600, grab Combat instead, since you know every 2600 collector has about 5 copies in their collection. So what do you think of the game? Whether you agree or disagree with me, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Also, feel free to click the like and subscribe buttons and follow me both on the Facebook and the Twitter. And I'm a member of the Retro Junkies Network. At this time, I'd like to thank Ballblazer from the forums at Atari.io for trading me this game so I could review it. And I'd also like to thank everyone who supports the show on Patreon, including Galaga, First Offender, Ryan N., and Mark A., and many others. Thank you, everyone. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, please go to patreon.com/NoSwearGamer for more information. Thank you for giving me a little part of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next time in the next episode of the No Swear Gamer. Take care and enjoy this video of the Marching Soldiers.